The sign of purity. Let's see. A staff bathed in innocent blood. No. Sorry, bathed in the blood of innocence. Yes, innocence gave a part of his divine self to the thing, and gifted it to the Templar. Now that I recall, I read a tome about it when I was a cadet. Bloody long time ago. I skipped most of the boring pages, so only remember the bit where High Templar Maxarius smote with flame the army of the faithless with one ray of its hallowing light. The book's words, not mine. Outside of my humble flesh, the sign of purity is about all that's left of innocence.
Remember what Utula said about Kitava? He is the tormented one, destined to rise up from the darkness, and we, his children, rise with him. It was there all along, in eyes too bright and smiles too wide. Cunning concealed by kindness. Conquest wearing the mask of freedom. I didn't see it because I was looking for something else. Hope. The cult only wanted what it's always wanted. To be born again in their father's image. They are Kitava's children, the first of his tribe. Unless you do something about it, they won't be the last.
The sign of purity, yes. A discry staff that piety sent me to study at one point. Apparently it was a gift from innocence to the first High Templar, Maxarius. Dominus couldn't even bear to touch the thing, so he had it locked up in the ossuary. Quite reactive behavior for a man of such formidable intellect, yet now it's making a little more sense. The staff was certainly able to conduct and store energy, yet remained inert when I applied corruption to it. It must only respond to divine energy, and with corruption and divinity being diametrically opposed, it's no wonder that my experiments failed to excite the thing. Meaning, if the sign of purity is a repository for the power of innocence, Dominus could never have wielded it, being steeped as he was in the opposing power of the beast. You, though, you're a different matter entirely. Now, where was I?
Devotion should be honored, I suppose. For centuries now, the Templar have boiled the flesh and skin from the devout, and presented the polished remains for public appreciation in the ossuary. Personally, I think it's one of the better ways to remember those who have gone before us. To touch the bones is to remember neither the legend, the legacy, nor the lies. It reminds you that those bones belong to a man or woman who was just like any other man or woman.
I'm not up to that just yet. That would only slow me down.
You really don't have a strong grip on cause and effect, do you? Things replace other things. It's the most fundamental of laws. The larger the thing you remove, the bigger the rush to fill the space that's left behind. Innocence was the nexus of power in Oriath. Remove him, and something of equal or greater power was always going to take his spot. Any idiot could have predicted that Kitava was going to be that something. Unless, of course, you thought it was going to be you.
I'd be lying if I said my hands were clean of slavery's blood. I was a soldier. I went where Dominus ordered me to go. I sailed with the expedition to Ngamakanui, killed Karui warriors, and rounded up Karui captives like every other bastard in a Templar uniform. So I don't blame Lonnie for wanting to take back her freedom, and I don't blame her for believing Utula's lies either. I certainly swallowed enough of Dominus's falsities to sicken my soul. It's what we do now that matters. I can see that Lonnie's heart is in the right place, and for once in my damned life, so is mine.
People have talked about the return of the gods since the birth of Oriath. It's a gambit employed by charlatans to fleece the weak-minded and morally desperate. Or so it seemed. Avarius and his Templar drones now greet the dawn filled with power and glorious purpose. Kitava has risen from whatever ethereal cesspit he's been hiding in for the last few millennia. So what let the cats out of their proverbial bags? I'm a scholar, not a prophet. Yet there's one occurrence that absolutely reeks with evidential causality. You killed the beast.
You there! Let me bend your ear for a moment. What'll it be today? Today's special is the mortal mealy with a side order of brutality. Cooked it up myself. Just for you, Exile. So here's how this works. You take a crack at me, your very best shot. I win, you die. You win, and I'm not actually sure, to tell the truth. Doesn't happen very often. Are you game? Now that was a fight even Deresso would have been proud of.
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't trust her. Yeah, I've got my reasons. Piety kept her work pretty quiet, but her results were brutally clear. The people she took, The people she changed. Slaves, mostly, and a few enemies of God. Enemies of bloody Dominus, more like it. I don't go in for black and white definitions of good and evil, but with piety in her ilk, I make an exception. Whatever's lurking inside Violenta, it ain't good. Not by a long shot.
That would only slow me down.
Dominus adopted Chittis Cathedral as his personal laboratory. He decked it out with everything his miraculous mind could conceive of. His great work in Psalm, that which you destroyed, it all began there. Now, where was I?
Beauty will grow from your remains.
Arohongui, daughter of the moon, was preparing for a feast to celebrate Tukohama's return from his war on the first ones of the Ezamites. Tafor, son of the forest, asked each of the birds to sacrifice one of their kind for the feast. He gave these offerings to Arohongui, who cooked them in a great firestone pit. Seeing all of those plump birds cooking made Kitava very hungry, and he offered to watch them, to make sure they didn't burn while Arohongui rested during the heat of the day. Arohongui thanked Kitava for his kindness, but while she slept, Kitava ate the cooking birds, flesh, bones, gizzards and all. Upon waking, Arohongui was furious to find that Kitava had lied to her, for saying that he would watch the birds when he truly intended to eat them all up. When Tukohama arrived home in his mighty canoe, Arohongui asked him to punish Kitava for his selfish gluttony. Tukohama, our father of war, agreed and pulled the sharpest tooth from his own mouth. He then asked Arohongui and Tafor to hold Kitava fast while he cut Kitava's face with the tooth. 2 slashes that blinded Kitava and formed a bleeding cross upon his face. From that day forth, Kitava would never be able to promise to watch that which he truly intended to consume.
That would only slow me down.
Tukohama, our father of war, and Valakor, father of storm, took Kitava to Hinekora, mother of death. They asked her to kill the greedy Kitava, for surely their tribe would starve if Kitava continued to live among them. But Hinekora refused, for death would not teach Kitava the lesson he needed to learn. Instead, Hinekora beat Kitava with a whip woven of her own hair. To Kitava, each strand was a searing lash, and so he wore thousands and thousands of blistering lashes across his back, as Hinekora drove him relentlessly into the darkest corner of the underworld. There she left him to suffer, without water or food, for the rest of eternity. And there Kitava remained, in the darkness of Hinekora's night-clad island, for time beyond measure. There he suffered, waiting for the day that he could return to the world of light, to slake his scorching thirst and satiate his ravening hunger.
I'm not up to that just yet. That would only slow me down.
Once Kitava has gobbled up every scrap of Oriathan flesh, sucked every Oriathan bone dry of marrow, he'll turn his endless hunger to Namakanui and the whole Karui archipelago. As you know, the Karui will fight, and they'll fight hard, but they're going to need all the help they can get. And I know of 3 treasures that might just make the difference. They were taken when the Templar raided Namakanui. A whip woven of Hinekora's hair. A tooth that Tukohama ripped from his own mouth. A fishhook that was once the jawbone of Valakor. Together, they're known as Kitava's Torments, and lie within the reliquary that borders Oriath Square. I saw them with my own eyes when delivering messages to the scholars there. Please, go to the reliquary and claim those treasures before Kitava's children do. For freedom.
That would only slow me down. That would only slow me down.
To replace the feast of birds that Kitava had greedily consumed, Tukohama, our father of war, and Valakor, father of storm, went fishing. Although Kitava was blind, he could still cast his line and feel when a fish took his bait. So, Tukohama and Valakor took him with them on Tukohama's mighty canoe. But while they fished, Kitava grew hungry and secretly ate all of their bait of grubs and worms. Disgusted and angry, Tukohama and Valakor decided to use Kitava as bait instead. Valakor used his own jawbone as a hook, impaled Kitava on it, and cast both into the sea. Kitava sank to the bottom of the sea, but instead of the fish eating Kitava, it was Kitava who ate all of the fish that nibbled at him, flesh, scales, guts, and all. When Tukohama and Valakor hauled a fat-bellied Kitava back up from the sea, they were even more furious and knew that Kitava must be punished one final time.
Not all slaves believe Dutula's lies. Some I know have managed to steal a ship and are soon to set sail for Namakanui. Hopefully, with these treasures on board, Valakor will bless their voyage and breathe deeply into their sails. No, I'm not going with them. I helped bring this curse down upon Oriath, so I'll help save what little there is left to save. Here, take something, in thanks for your part in preserving the Karui Way. For freedom.